What's going on YouTube? Dad DIY back, and today we are going to be adding an outlet up here by tying in the outlet down here. Let's get it started. Before we start this project, good safety tip: anytime you're working with any kind of electrical inside your house, is to go to the breaker box, figure out which breaker you need to shut off. Mine are so easily labeled, and flick it off. Since we're going to be working in the living room / dining room, boom, living room / dining room, it's off. Alright, see you guys back inside. Yeah, so here are some of the tools that I use for this project. I'll put a note, or not a note, rather a list in the description box below all the different tools that I use and I had available to me, so you guys can use the same if you want to. That's what I did. Seemed to work out just fine. But here I'm using a 6 foot long level, and normally use this level for concrete forms just because it's so long, it's easier to use. And I'm getting myself a nice straight up and down line or level mark, so I know where on the wall the outlet is, opposed to the bottom outlet. And then now here, what I'm doing is I'm using my stud finder to find the stud, because typically when you build houses, you put your outlets, you run all your electrical down the studs in the wall. So here I just want to make sure that I'm going to be on the right side of the stud, so I'm not going to cut a hole in the wall and have it be on the other side of the stud and having to patch drywall. And now what you didn't see me do on camera was I took the conduit box that the actual outlet and the electrical is going to be running through, and put it up against the wall, and I traced out my box line. And here, you don't have to do this. I'm feathering the compact drill, the driver that I'm using. I'm feathering it because I have a 4-month-old daughter that I'm trying not to wake up. It didn't work out either. And you also don't have to do what I did and use your drill to open up a hole in the drywall. I did because it's just easier, and went from there. And then here I'm using my drywall saw to cut open the rest of it and make it into the box shape, so you can put your conduit in. And it's kind of a pain a little bit. I mean, I've seen other people, they use some different types of Dremel saws, I think makes one. And oh yeah, and you're also going to see a lot of my elbow in this video. I apologize for that in advance, and I have no idea what is going on with the earthquake in the video either. I don't think there was an earthquake, and trust me, it's really not that hard to get through drywall. So right now it's making it seem like I'm shaking the whole house. I definitely am not. I have no idea what happened to the video. Great editing there. But again, I was just trying to go slow so I didn't wake up my daughter, which really didn't help anyways, from what my wife told me. I woke her up. So yeah, again, different other tools you can use, like I was saying before, to get through your drywall. You can use different type of router bits. I've seen people use, jigsaws, sawzalls. I was just using the drywall saw. It's the first thing I had readily available. I have a router, haven't played with it enough to want to cut open, into my wall. But here too, you need to make sure when you do your lines, make sure you know where your studs are at in there. Yeah, usually, once I cut into this much, I can usually just press in the rest of it. But obviously the dingus here didn't know that their stud was right there. And yeah, I found out that the stud, that's the stud there, Louie. Yeah, we figured that one out the hard way, but that's all right. So we're going to go from there, and then we're going to cut up along that stud. Trying not to cut into the stud is always a good thing. And then watch out too, because you'll have those electrical lines running down. You don't want to be cutting into those. And here, I'm just test fitting in the blue conduit box that all the electrical is going to go into. Just going to kind of test fit it, make sure. Yeah, figured out, obviously, because I didn't cut out my lines, because my line went over to my stud. I don't even know why I test fitted it. I should have known. I should have cut over another 1/4 of an inch or so. But, threw it in there, see maybe if it'd work. But now I'm cutting it over like I should have done in the first place, and I'm going to make that hole just a little bit bigger so we can put in the the blue conduit box easier without breaking the drywall. But you'll notice too that this is an interior wall, so there is no insulation that I'm fighting with. There is no firewall I have to worry about. If you don't know what a firewall is, you can look it up. It's basically what they do. They put 2x4 blocks bisecting the horizontal studs. It's just basically they make one big line across with 2x4s. Trying not to get all technical and ridiculous with it. And you also didn't see me do this off camera because of my amazing camera video editing skills. The outlet below, I actually went in underneath the outlet. I opened it up, pulled that outlet out. It's literally 3 screws. It's pretty self-explanatory. And then in the very back, once I pull that outlet out, you'll see when I show you in the blue conduit box, the one I'm putting in, there's little tabs in the back right there. You see them? Yep. Thank you for the assistance there. And you can basically push those out with a tool. I don't recommend using your finger like Conan here is trying to do. DIY, not so smart, Dad. But yeah, we have tools. Welcome to technology. And yeah, you can push those out. And all I did basically was I went into the back there, found the little exit point that I wanted to, pushed my screwdriver like I am doing through this one, pushed it through, and then just fed the conduit wire up. The conduit wire you can get at any big box store. I for mine went to, I believe, Lowe's or Home Depot, and it literally showed the conduit wire on there. It showed a picture of what kind of conduit wire it was for, and it literally showed a picture of an outlet on it. So, I mean, I just picked this one. I picked that one, but sorry, I got a little bit of something in my throat. But again, this is not what you want to do. You don't want to force the conduit box in. I mean, you want a snug fit, but using a hammer like this dingus is doing, you don't want to do, because oh yeah, we broke it, and you see the drywall falling out, and yeah, you don't want to be doing that. So yeah, like I said before, you feed the wire up the wall. It's pretty easy to feed the wire up. It may take a few minutes to fish for it, but if you do run into some insulation, there are a bunch of different types of fishing tapes that you can get to fish wire through the wall. And all you'll do is just electrical tape them. Just use any kind of tape that you've got around the fishing wire, and then you feed it up that way. And all the fishing wire is kind of like a metal, not as flexible as this wire rod, which is this wire is pretty rigid, but it's a little bit more rigid, still has some flex into it, so you can push it straight up and then you'll be able to catch it through your hole. But yeah, again, you don't want to be forcing your blue conduit box in, so you can, yep, that's a no-no. That's not what you want to do. Yes, yep, you did it. So yeah, after once you get your proper hole cut out, then you can just push your conduit box in on each of the sides. At least for this conduit box, some of them don't, some of them do. This one has got there were these little flabs. I don't know if you saw me kind of pushing those out of the way to get it in. So those little flaps, what they do is you take your screwdriver and you'll go to each of the screws or in each of the angled corners from each other, and all you do is you just tighten those up, and those blue tabs will put pressure against the drywall. And you can see the other blue flaps on the outside of the drywall, and those blue flaps on the inside of the drywall kind of give you that tight little feel. Make sure your conduit box isn't falling out. So then, yeah, after that, you just you cut open your wire. You make sure you give yourself enough room and enough slack, I should say. Your wire will come, if you use one I'm using, 3 different wires. You've got a grounding wire, you've got your black and your white, and then from there you'll just strip your wires and you'll match them up to your outlet. And for this one, I believe my outlet, your outlet may be different. There's like a silvery kind of screw, and you match that one up to the white, and then there's more of like a different colored screw on the other side. The copper screw, goes to the black wire, which is going to be your neutral. So you got your hot is on one side, and that's going to be like the silver kind of screw. Then you got your copper screw, which is your neutral, which is going to be to your black, and then you've got your ground screw, which is always green. And I mean, the one screw you really don't want to mess up is your ground. Your ground is the bare copper wire. It goes to the green screw at the bottom, and as long as you don't mess that one up, your outlet's going to be fine. Because when you think about electrical, all you're doing is sending a current through it. So it's not a switch. So all you're doing is sending a current from either from the right side to the left side or the left side to the right side. So it doesn't really matter. And so here I'm screwing everything in. I'm dialing it up. I'm using my wire crimpers to kind of crimp them around. You'll see some of the outlets, they have the little plugins, and that's what they used on the bottom. They use the plugins. I don't like those. I think you get a better connection when you use the screws, but thankfully they use the plugins on the back, and I was able to use the screws and tie right in. So yeah, I'm doing the same thing, making my little half circle so I can get right into those copper wires, and it's no problem. And yeah, again, the great video editing. You see a very lovely shoulder and elbow. Hopefully you guys can kind of see from the shadows. Thankfully I get out of the way. But yeah, that's pretty much all you're doing. I mean, it's not rocket science. It's pretty easy, but again, safety tip from the very beginning, make sure that you turn off your the correct breaker, so you're not having any power going through. I used a multimeter to test, and first I used my cell phone charger. It's an easy way to test, see, hey, do you get any power? And then I used a multimeter, which I didn't show you below because obviously the camera angle was behind me and all you saw was dad butt, like from the first video, but a lot more of it. Nobody wants to see that. But yeah, I used a multimeter, put it in there, and tested to see if I had any electrical current coming through it. There was none, so we were good to go. So yeah, now once you plugged in all your wires together, all you do is just screw it down tight. It's a little bit of a pain to screw. And yeah, now you go down to your bottom and you do the same thing you did for the bottom, for the top. You strip your wires, same process. You put them into the same screws, doing the exact same thing, and that's pretty much it. So yeah, now that you got your neutral and your positive in, or your hot and your neutral, in, on this one, the way they grounded the wires was kind of really weird. As you see, I'm going to try and cut this it's not even like a wire nut, it's almost just like a metal kind of clamp that they just press clamp together. But I noticed that there was no end to the other grounding rod. So if I were to try and um, unclamp this thing or cut it, then I wouldn't be able to wire nut it all together because the end, it just kind of looped through. So I noticed that there was an end sticking out, and kind of just cut my grounding wire to size and wrapped it around and said, that'll work because we got ground to ground connection. We're grounded and we're fine. So, I mean, the reason why I bring this up is because, when you guys are doing this at your home, you never know what you're going to get, and you can't really account for what other people are doing. So sometimes in your project, when you're going along, if it's not, cut and dry from A to B to C to D, sometimes you got to be able to be a little flexible and move around and know the principle behind what you're doing. That, yeah, hey, this is grounded. This is grounded. I've been here for 2 years, so I know this is grounded. The wall hasn't caught on fire. So I know if I ground to this grounding wire, this connection seems to be working just fine, so we can ground to it. But yeah, once you're done with that, you button it up, do the same thing, screw it all together, and you're good. Last little bit, the only thing you got to do is just test it, make sure that you got good power, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So if you have any questions, comment below. You like the video, leave a like. Subscribe. Let me know what you guys think of the channel, what direction DIY Dad's going in, and yeah, let me know. But until then, I'll talk to you guys later. You guys have a good one.